Save the planet. Things you can do to help take care of the environment and make a difference. Presented by Vinny Day Jesus and Vin Mancini.
Well, welcome to Save the Planet, people. Thanks a lot for making the decision to join this presentation. I think it's quite important. So no matter what we do and how much advancements we make when it comes to helping people with a disability or different ability, if we don't have a planet to live on, then I think it's kind of be pointless, unfortunately. So I hope you're going to learn something from today's presentation. I hope you're going to find it fun, and that maybe you might be inspired to do some work on your own or with some other groups in the area to help save the planet. So with no further ado, I would like to hand you over to the second presenter, who's also a Vincent. And Vinny, do you mind taking over on slide number 2?
Okay. Save the planet. Wait, what? You want me to save the planet? Where do I start? Do I need an Earth-sized life preserver? Or how about a giant garbage truck to pick up all the litter? Or maybe a huge vacuum to clean up the air? I know it sounds like an impossible job, but by working together and doing our part, we can save our planet, and we can do it in ways that are easy and fun.
Great. Next slide, please, Andrew. Who's your mama? Okay, so you're all here and alive. That means that you were brought into this world by your mother, I hope. But did you know that all living things, including humans, were born by Mother Earth? And who doesn't love their mother? So Andrew, next slide, please.
So what's the problem? Mother Earth is struggling at the moment, and she needs our help. There are things that humans have done that hurt our planet. Things like burning lots of fossil fuels that hurt the air we breathe. Fossil fuels are things like gas, oil, and coal. We also throw away a lot of trash that becomes litter. Litter is stuff we throw on the ground and in rivers, lakes, and the oceans. Can anyone think of anything else that hurts our planet? No.
Anything?
Like
Plastic?
Plastic.
plastic.
How about
is trash,
styrofoam?
yes.
Styrofoam, right. Another really bad one. Yeah, those are great.
And stuff goes into ocean and rivers, kill all the fish.
Yeah.
That's true. Very, very true. Wildlife is definitely impacted negatively by all waste and trash.
Yeah, the plastic containers. And
Absolutely. Yeah. Mark? I think you're still
Mark.
muted for some reason.
Wars hurt the planet as well.
Right.
It says anything besides litter, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. Can you give an example of what you mean by that, Mark?
Well, you know, when a bomb goes off, it it puts out poison into the air. I mean, people get hurt, and by people getting hurt, that hurts the planet. Animals get hurt. Forests get destroyed. Mountains get blown away. Rivers get, all polluted from stuff that happens when a bomb goes off or whatever. Radioactivity goes into the air and affects the earth for a long time.
Yeah, that's a great one. Joe?
The forest fires and the wildfires we're seeing in the West that is permeating the newscasts of late. They're kind of destroying a lot of the habitats out there on that side of the country. We have several wildfires going on right now, including the one in Arizona called the Telegraph Fire.
Right.
Just about as big as the Thomas Fire from a few years ago.
Great. Yeah. So Vinny, what else did we have on that one?
Besides over farming, such as cattle farming and deforestation, cutting down of forests, these things have caused our climate to change and our weather too.
Right. And, things like chemicals we use, pesticides and fertilizers, those are also things that can contaminate and be detrimental to our environment. So, what's the difference between climate change and weather? That's always been like a commonly asked question, and rightfully so, because it's not really defined well, I don't think, in the media, at least in the media. So weather refers to conditions high in the sky that occur locally, over short periods of time. So, we all know, living in New England, that the weather could be nice and sunny and warm, and a few minutes later we get torrential downpours.
We get thunderstorms and we get snowstorms in the fall and winter.
Right. So familiar examples of weather are rain, snow, clouds, winds, floods, and thunderstorms. Climate change is a long-term change. It's the average weather patterns that have come to define Earth's local, regional, and global climates. So it's kind of like climate change influences the weather. We have that on a daily basis, but over time, it's the climate that then influences and changes the weather. So, I mean, does anybody think that they've seen a change in the climate and the weather?
Yeah.
I know I have. One thing that I've noticed recently, when I was living in England for almost 20 years and recently moved back to Rhode Island, where I was born. And one of the things that was really prominent, everybody thinks England is really rainy and stuff like that and foggy. It's not so much that, it was the wind. The wind was unbelievable. It was always windy. And a lot of my friends over there said that, yeah, that wasn't true like 5 or 10 years ago. It was just in the past 10 years. And then coming back here and, hanging with my friends here and going on hikes. And we see a similar pattern here now with winds. It's a constant thing. So I don't know if you guys have picked up on any changes.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I've actually noticed that the summers seem to be hotter
Right.
than they were, previously. So,
Absolutely. I guess California right now is predicting record-breaking heat waves.
the wildfires.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Okay. Next slide, please, Andrew.
And I think we just had one more hand up for a
did we?
change that they've seen.
Sorry.
Oh, Scott.
If you want to unmute yourself, you can share.
Yep, I'm because the one where they're showing on TV a lot about where all the ice is right now. They said it's keep breaking. It's breaking
Right.
too much. They don't know what they're gonna do with the climate change. What's gonna happen?
Yeah,
It's melting.
what's gonna
Yeah.
happen?
The sea level's gonna rise.
yeah, that's a big problem. The melting ice caps,
Yeah, they don't know what they're gonna
the
do.
oceans, and that's a major issue for sure.
Hmm.
Good point, Scott.
Yeah, they said if all the ice go, and they said if it goes, we have no more ice, they don't know what they're gonna do. What's gonna
Right.
happen, they said.
The animals that live there are gonna suffer too.
Yes, definitely. Yep.
Polar bears and stuff. So, can you think of some changes to our climate? And
Well, we kind of went through that one.
yeah, we just did.
And they even have astronauts go up in space and they check the climate up there, and
Mhm.
see the whole Earth, and they say how it's doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
More frequent and intense droughts, storms, heat waves, rising sea levels, melting glaciers, and warming oceans can directly harm animals, destroy the places they live, and wreak havoc on people's livelihoods and communities. As climate change worsens, dangerous weather events are becoming more frequent or severe.
That's true. We
Mm.
noticed that
Yeah.
even right here.
Yes.
But in places that are coastal and islands, so like we know that problems with tornadoes and hurricanes that have gone into the Dominican Republic and Haiti, Puerto Rico, those are unprecedented. The amount of hurricanes now in the Atlantic, it's like nothing we've seen before. Not at least in our lifetimes. Joe?
Some of these hurricanes are also reaching proportions similar to that what we're seeing in the Philippines. Like we had one that hit a few years ago that had up to 200-mile-an-hour winds at landfall near Puerto Rico in 2017, Maria, and we had an unprecedented 6 hurricanes last year make landfall on the state of Louisiana.
Right.
And we had Isaias rolling up the East Coast last year, giving us a scare. At one point, I was ready to make a road trip when I first heard that Isaias was coming right up the coast.
Wow.
I was thinking going Kansas City, but the bloody virus wouldn't let us go.
The bloody virus.
All right, Andrew, next slide, please. Right, so now I think we're going to get into some practical ways that we can help to save the planet. Right, so how can we stop climate change? It seems impossible, at least as an individual, right? But hopefully we're going to be able to talk about some ways that we can make an impact, even as a person. Mother Earth is strong and can heal on her own, really. I mean, after we're gone, the Earth will still be here and it'll probably be in better shape. But that doesn't mean living things will survive. We're already seeing extinctions from all over the planet, unprecedented again. But don't lose hope. All right, this is not like a scare tactic. This is just to kind of get a picture of where we're at and then come up with solutions. We got this. One of the best ways to start to help Mother Earth is to think globally, the entire planet, but act locally where you live. So that kind of narrows it down quite a bit in terms of, all right, well, I can't go to Haiti and help people over there because I can't afford it or don't have the time. But there are things we could do here, right in your own backyard. So one of those things is to celebrate Earth Day. And it's like Mother's Day for the Earth. And you can do some things to help the planet and have fun. A lot of organizations locally and nationally and internationally always have some kind of really fun event that takes place. Whether it's having a concert or a cleanup, but these things occur and they're easy and fun to get involved in. Things like making a pollinator garden, plant flowers that attract bees and other insects that pollinate plants, particularly fruit plants and fruit trees and things like that. We need them. We need them to be around, because without them, the whole entire human food chain would collapse. Recycle and reuse. So try and reuse things like plastic containers and recycle plastic, glass, cardboard, and cans when you can. And it doesn't mean that by recycling that you're actually adding it to the waste that the city or town picks up. I like to use plastic containers for various things. So for example, they have these big like shoebox sized plastic containers that hold like a handful of lettuce leaves, but they make great containers for things like growing plants, propagators. So you can start seeds in them. They're really good. And you don't have to throw them away, and they're reusable. Do some litter picking. I'm sure you could find enough litter to pick up on your street where you live or in a park that you live close to. You can buy a litter picker. They're quite cheap. And a lot of times if you organize with friends and family and say you do a park or a public space, you can call the local authority and they'll come and pick it up for you. You don't have to take the trash away. You just tell them where it is, it's bagged up, and they'll come and pick it up. So that's a really good thing. And avoid buying plastic bottles, like water bottles in particular are the worst, because first of all, they don't break down. It takes hundreds, sometimes thousands of years for those things to be rid of, in the environment. The other thing is when people buy bottled water, they're not buying spring water most of the time or some other kind of, better quality water than what you get in your tap. It's stuff that they will just pump out of a tap in a factory. And if you do the math, you'll find out that bottled water is more expensive than gasoline. So that's kind of crazy. And donate to an organization that helps the planet. That's another easy way. Some people physically might not be able to get out and do things in the community or where they live, or don't have the time. So you can always find an organization and donate to them. Even a small amount will help. Use less water. I know I'm still to blame when I use too much water. So when you're brushing your teeth and you're kind of thinking, oh, what am I going to do tomorrow? I've got to do this at work and blah, blah, blah. And you're taking 5 minutes. And then you look down and the water's been running the entire time. Well, that's like 20 gallons of water just down the drain. So just be more mindful of the way we use water and how much of it we use. Or you can really go large and become an environmental advocate by joining or volunteering with an organization, or contact your local, state, and federal officials and just tell them how you feel about climate change and the impact it's having on you, your friends, on the planet, and let them know that this is an area that you find very important and should be a priority for them. And that's easy to do as well. There's a lot of form letters out there that make it easy for you to contact your elected officials. Can you guys think of anything else? Yeah, Scott.
Yeah, they have people go around like check like lakes, rivers, and ponds, and they test them.
Right, that's right.
What's in it?
That's a good point. I want to talk about that in the next slides. All right, because that's an important thing and something that you might be able to get involved in.
Yeah.
Water quality testing, very important. Yep. Anybody else? No, is that it? I'm just trying to check everybody. Oh, sorry, Karen.
Oh, boy.
It's not always convenient to do, but you can compost, so like your food scraps. And we got one of those black, unfortunately, it's made out of plastic, but there's probably more environmentally friendly ways to do it with just, putting things into a pile. If you have some land in the backyard, and throw leaves on top, and it degrades, because apparently food waste is a huge amount of
Massive problem.
yeah.
Food waste is a huge problem. And it's not just the waste, it's the production of it, with cattle farming and all the methane gas that's produced, and other greenhouse gases. So yeah, that's a great example. But you know what? Having a plastic composter is going to last a long time, maybe a few generations, right? And that's better than, having a stupid water bottle that you throw away in 5 minutes.
Hmm.
So that's a really good point. Thank you for that. Anybody else? No? All right, Andrew, next slide, please. So I just want to give you some examples of people just like you that are doing really great things. They all have a disability, but that hasn't stopped them. In fact, it's probably made their passion even stronger, because there is such a thing as what's called environmental justice, and disability falls into that category. So the first one on the left is Izzy Lederman. She's a 17-year-old disability justice activist currently based in Duluth, Minnesota. She has Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which among other challenges causes her chronic pain and can limit her mobility, a reason why she sometimes uses mobile aids. Izzy's work focuses on how disability justice intersects with climate justice and sex education, of all things. So, there's a really great example of someone who's had to overcome personal challenges to take on an even, or equally huge challenge, and that's trying to change and save the planet. The next woman is Daphne Frias, and she's a 20-year-old organizer passionate about ending the climate crisis. As a proud disabled Latina, she has seen firsthand how communities have been disproportionately impacted by the crisis. As a result, she is committed to amplifying their voices in this movement. And that's another example of environmental justice. It's generally people from third world countries or not developed countries who are bearing the brunt of climate change in practical and physical ways. So people in sub-Saharan Africa have seen massive changes. Coastal locations, even in the United States, have seen massive changes, floodings that have affected people's communities in huge and detrimental ways. And then there's Vic Barrett, is one of 21 young people suing the executive branch of the US government for failing to respond to global climate crisis. Now, that's big, right? I'm not sure that's for everybody, because it will take a lot of effort and a lot of resources, but he's trying to make the real change, that big change we talked about when it comes to our elected officials. So at a speech in New York, Barrett said, "I am Garifuna. My people are Afro-Indigenous community from the island of St. Vincent in the Caribbean. We are being pushed from the lands that my family has inhabited for generations. That land will be underwater in a few decades if we continue on the path we were on." So what do you think about these folks?
Oh, it's
Very interesting.
it's very, yeah, it's very inspiring. particularly the first one where she's talking about things that you necessarily wouldn't think of. Environmental justice and its
Right.
connection with sex education. You wouldn't think that, you wouldn't associate those things together. But yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, I think you hit on something important, Jason, and that is we don't really realize the impact on climate change and how far-reaching it is, and things that you would never expect.
Yeah.
And that's the challenge, I think, is how do we, we, at least in the United States, there's a struggle there to get people to actually believe in climate change and that it's a real thing. And so if we can't overcome that with meaningful numbers of people coming on board with this and trying to save the planet and reducing climate change, then how can we possibly talk about some of those other impacts that you say are more, I guess, kind of more obscure?
Yeah, well, they're less thought of, I guess.
Right.
But and also all three of them were interesting, but the last person talking about how it's for their culture may not exist if it continues,
Absolutely,
the way this is going.
And I love it that he's suing the U.S. government.
Yeah. Yes. That's something. I mean, it takes a
awesome.
That's a very wave. That's a very that's really going all out. Yes.
And using those tools, using our legal rights to advance the cause. We don't do that. Civic participation. It's not just about voting. It's about making your voice heard. And like I said, there's organizations out there that can help you do all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Any other comments on this slide? No? Okay, Andrew, then last slide, please. So let's get started. Now that you know more about how to save the planet, and hopefully you feel inspired to help Mother Earth, you don't have to be busy as a bee, but you can make bees busy by improving their environment, because they are a crucial part of the ecosystem. Remember how we talked about global, but acting local? Well, here are some local groups that can help you to help the planet. The first one is the Blackstone River Watershed Council, Friends of the Blackstone. I happen to be a director on the board for that organization, and they do a whole array of work and activities about environmental protection, stewardship, which is about cleaning up the river, doing litter picks, water quality testing. Scott, like you mentioned earlier, they do that. And it's all volunteer led. So we have volunteers that take sections of the river, the Blackstone River, and then they will gather samples and take them back to our headquarters. It's called Sycamore Landing in Manville, Rhode Island. And we test the water for the Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management. And we've seen great progress in eliminating some of the most crucial and harmful pollutants, such as dissolved oxygen in the water and phosphorus. So there's the website there, and there's also should be these little black squares. Those are QR codes, and you can just take your phone and use the camera to take a picture of it, and it will take you right to their website.
If it's helpful, I've also put the links, the organization and the links right in the chat.
Excellent. Thank you,
Yes.
Ann. There's also one of the greatest and long-lasting environmental groups to save the Bay. They've done some remarkable work. There was a point in time where you couldn't eat anything out of Narragansett Bay because of the pollution, and most of it was due to sewage being leached into the water table. So from Pawtucket at the Narragansett Bay Commission on the Blackstone that empties into the Providence River was just polluting Narragansett Bay to such a point where you couldn't eat anything from there. In fact, you wouldn't even want to swim in it. But it's come back so much, and that is in thanks to a large part to Save the Bay. There's the Woonasquatucket River Watershed Council, and I don't know if you've been down Promenade Street. It's right along the Mashasik River or the Woonasquatucket, and they have a whole bunch of banners over there promoting what they do. So they do a lot of cleanups. They encourage cycling on the bike path, canoeing and kayaking on the Woonasquatucket, which goes right through Providence, right down to Water Place Park. So that's a great organization to get involved with. They're always looking for volunteers. They're always looking for donations and help with projects and activities. The Cumberland Land Trust, they grow a whole bunch of fruits and vegetables every year, and then they donate literally tons of vegetables to the Rhode Island Food Bank every year. So it's an amazing organization. You can contact them and help them with that work. Go and help farm, plant, harvest, transport things. So it's an amazing organization to get involved with. And like I said, they're always looking for help. And then there's 4Ocean, which, Vinny, do you know more about that?
Just from what the commercials I've seen. So basically, they take, I believe you donate to them, and they use that donation for every, I forgot how much it was, but they'll take a pound of plastic out of the ocean. They clean up the ocean, remove plastics and stuff, which is a big ocean killer. I can't say I know it perfectly. Just what I ran into it when I was watching a TV show. It was an environmental project where they remove plastics from the oceans. Pounds, I guess so far they've removed some million pounds of plastic from the oceans, but unfortunately plastics are used a lot, and they keep, because the rainwaters will wash, people throw their trash litter on the ground, and instead of putting it in a bin or whatever. So it just keeps filling.
It does.
There's so much trash in the ocean. There's actually one current where all the trash has built up. I forgot where it's way off the coast of California. It's a couple miles out.
Yeah, I think it's in the Pacific. It's like a giant island of plastic.
Yeah. All the currents converge there.
Right.
With the currents, they bring the plastic. And those plastics also kill many fish.
You do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Different ways.
And I think when people are confronted with that, the magnitude of that kind of weight, and impact. It feels like you're almost helpless. There's nothing we can do. How do you manage that? How do you take care of or even begin to remove that giant pile of waste that's floating in the Pacific? And I think that's part of the problem, is that we just hear this doom and gloom stories all the time.
Yeah.
But with no solutions, nothing positive that says, well, yeah, it's a bad situation, but we can make it better.
Yeah.
And we can do it locally. We can do it with our friends, our families, and it should be something you enjoy and also feel proud of.
Yes.
So I really thank you guys for taking part in this presentation.
Awesome presentation, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Please visit our website to download a copy of the materials used during this session, along with additional resources about this important topic, at www.advocatesinaction.org/2021 conference. Please visit our website to download a copy of the materials used during this session, along with additional resources about this important topic, at www.advocatesinaction.org/2021 conference.